just a hack. It's just an absolute hack. And he gets his ass kicked by his teammates every week. It's just, it's terrible. It's just terrible.
The latest college football rankings just dropped. Now, I try to say this as much as possible. These rankings don't mean anything right now. They are going to change, and the likely ending season rankings are going to look so different than the ones we're seeing heading into week 11. However, we're in the business of reacting, so we're going to react to some of the crazy moves, some of the ones that made sense for this week's college football playoff rankings. Now, the first thing, as anyone knows, I have screamed about this constantly for the placement of Clemson and where they are, where they should have been placed after their loss to Notre Dame. They, at this point in time, are the 10th ranked team in the country. That, to me alone, as you could probably guess, I believe is ridiculous, but I am in the belief that it is disrespectful towards UCLA. Clemson's one loss this season to a 20th ranked Notre Dame team, now ranked 20th, in an embarrassing fashion. They were dominated on all sides of the field. It was the most embarrassing loss that they could have suffered for their one loss this season. UCLA, on the other hand, their loss so far was to Oregon. That is a much more impressive loss in my eyes. And I know that it is a slippery slope to talk about the impressive losses versus the non-impressive ones. But if we're just comparing their two resumes, both have 2 ranked wins, both have 2 ranked losses, but one loss is a lot different than the other one. I hate the fact that they're put at 10th because it keeps them possibly in the conversation to hover in at the very back end of the college football playoff. I am praying that they don't end up being slotted in, but as everyone knows who tunes into my show, they don't deserve to be where they are. They should be somewhere past 12 or later, as they were appropriately ranked in the AP poll and some of the other rankings that have been placed out there. But nonetheless, I think we need to start giving a little bit more respect to UCLA. What is going to be the main impact for them moving up is how they play against USC in a couple of weeks. That is going to be extremely important in a massive rivalry game, a game that is going to have the biggest impact in this rivalry in a very, very long time. The other thing, too, that I don't truly understand is why NC State is rewarded as heavily as they are, moving up to 16 after beating a now unranked Wake Forest team. Wake Forest has completely fallen off. They have dropped off. They have dropped out of the rankings. And yet NC State, again, heavily rewarded and moving up to 16. I'm more comfortable if they stuck around where they were previously last week, hovering closer to 20. The other thing, and this is less about me being annoyed with placement and just an outlook on how things are going to work. I said this on the SEC show this morning, that Tennessee losing to Georgia actually might help them find a path to the college football playoff and being one of those 4 teams competing for a national championship game. They're right now at number 5 behind TCU, Michigan, Ohio State, and Georgia. TCU has a likelihood and a potential loss this weekend against Texas. But the key thing that draws my attention is that Ohio State and Michigan are 2 and 3. One of those teams can't remain in that spot. They have to play each other, and the winner is going to stick around, and the loser, unless maybe it's a close game, will likely get pushed out of that top 4. Tennessee just has to patiently wait until they slide back in. That's what the talking point is going to be for a while, is how does Tennessee find themselves back into the playoff? And because they don't have to play in the SEC championship game and that the remaining schedule, they've already played the difficult matchups, this is going to set them up perfectly to possibly be that 4th team or maybe even that 3rd team at the back end of the rankings. But overall, separate from Clemson, UCLA, NC State, I'm content with the way this has worked out. TCU at 4, many are going to say that's a bit aggressive. They're a big story right now in the college football playoff, the Heisman voting, all that stuff always plays into stories. I don't think that they're likely to finish where they're at. At a certain point, the luck runs out. They don't have Quentin Johnson against Texas, and we're going to talk about that on the preview show, so make sure you don't miss out on that. But they're probably not going to stick around at 4 where they are. If you think I missed something, if you think there's anything else that was crazy or you disagree with me, drop a comment below. Also, make sure to hit that like button and also hit that subscribe button. We'll be back with more, folks. Thanks for tuning in.